God. When we grumble, it's because we're not content. And there's a lot of grumbling. In Numbers 11, flip over to Numbers. Verse 11. No, sorry. Chapter 11, verse 1. Now the people what? Complain. Let's complain for a minute. Let me hear your complaints. So hard, right? Oh, it was so hard getting out of bed today. I didn't want to go to church. They made me make a video. Man. Right? All right, that's enough. Quit it. Man, you guys are good at that. Let me ask you something. How do you get good at something? Amen. We've had some practice in complaining, haven't we? We've been doing it a lot. See, the people complain about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord. Oh, God hears it when we complain, by the way. And when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So that place was called Taberah. Sorry, I'm working on that. Because fire from the Lord had burned among them. Complained. Grumbled. Argued. Slide down to verse 4. The rabble. I love that word. The rabble among them. The rabble with them began to crave other food. Vegetables, man, I'm telling you. And again, the Israelites started wailing, and they said, if we only had meat to eat, we'd remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost. Also the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. Oh, it was so good there. But now we've lost our appetite. Get the attitude going. We never see anything but this manna. Now, how many of you guys open up the refrigerator and stand there and say, we don't have anything to eat? I gotta have salad again? I mean, I need to preach to myself here, right? I mean, I go to the refrigerator and I stand there and I get an attitude sometimes. Like, man, it's not that we don't have food. It's just I'm not content with what we have. I'm grumbling. I'm grumpy. And I want what I want. And because it's not there, because I don't get what I want, well, I start to grumble. And we are all like that. We're like that in little ways, and then we're like that in big ways. What's funny, it's harder to see when we're like that in big ways. It's harder to see that. Now, verse 10, it says, Moses heard the people of every family wailing, each at the entrance to his tent. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. Troubled. Numbers 14. All the Israelites grumbled against Moses and Aaron, and the whole assembly said to them, if we had only died in Egypt. Okay, at first they're saying, well, if we only had what was there in Egypt. Now they're saying, if we only died in Egypt. They're sliding down, right? They're going down. You see the progression of grumbling. If we only died in Egypt or in this desert, why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Our wives and children will be taken as plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to go back to Egypt? And then they said to others, you know what we should do? We should choose a different leader. We should find somebody else. Somebody who doesn't take us here. Because you brought us out here to die. And, I think it's very profound how the little grumbling about food, just the little things, they start, getting little attitudes. man, why is church getting so long? How come I only get a little crumb for communion? I want a cracker. I'm confessing now. But there's little things, right? They start off just little things. But if we don't deal with our grumbling, it's going to grow into something big. And it's going to get ugly, and the next thing you know, you got attitudes, you got bitterness, you don't trust the leadership, you don't trust yourself, and you just become unhappy and ungrateful. Now, I'm not saying don't have your concerns. And I hope that we've grown up in our faith where we can express our concerns in a mature way. I mean, we need that. We need to grow. We need to understand what we can do better. So this isn't like, get behind the leadership, shut up, and, sit down. It's not it. But, the Bible calls us to support our leaders to make their job easier. You know what grumbling does? It makes it harder. And it usually starts with little things, but then it grows into bigger. I mean, that's what happened here. They started off just wanting food. And God was growing them. God was testing them. But so quickly, you know what we should do? Get another leader. It's amazing how grumbling is such a big deal to God. Then the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses, "How long will these people treat me with contempt? How long will they refuse to believe in me in spite of all the miraculous signs I performed among them? A plague and destroy them." Nope, that's not right. That's another section. Cut and paste didn't work very good there. But we'll start there. It says, in verse 12 it says, "I will strike them down with a plague and destroy them, but I will make you into a nation greater and stronger than they." You see, God takes grumbling very, 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 very seriously. And see, we're not there in our grumbling right now. Grumbling has almost become one of those acceptable sins. It's one of those things, everybody kind of grumbles and complains and gripes. It's all right. It's not a big, whatever. But you see, God lumps it. Well, let's skip that one. 1 Corinthians 10, 6 through 11. It says, "Now these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. Do not be idolaters as some of them were. And as it is written, these people sat down to eat and drink and got up to indulge in pagan revelry. We should not commit sexual immorality as some of them did. And in one day, 23,000 of them died. We should not test the Lord as some of them did and were killed by snakes. And do not grumble as some of them did and were killed by the destroying angel." Wow! What does God lump grumbling into? What does He associate it with? Sexual immorality. Not trusting the Lord. And grumbling. Wow! It's funny because we can look at sexual immorality as such a terrible thing. How could you? And man, the judgment starts flying on that stuff. But when somebody starts grumbling, oh yeah, amen, bro, I feel that too. Or we'll say, oh yeah, you might have a point. And we don't deal with the grumbling. We don't deal with the complaining. We're not dealing with it. And if we don't deal with it, guys, we fail to